Hello, and welcome to the Rock Metal Podcast. I'm your host, John Harris, and it's the Rock Metal Podcast. We have October Changes, and the person who prepares my podcast for me tells me October Changes has a new story called Sirens, False Love. It comes in 2 parts. Is that correct? Yeah, 2 parts, The Dark Paradise and Medusa.
Yes, true, correct.
Okay, beautiful. Now, part of the reason I'm like confirming is because, not that I doubt my guy, he's the greatest guy in the world, Gabriel. He's editing the podcast right now. Well, he's not right now, like we're recording right now, but as he's hearing it, he's editing the podcast. And he's also helping me prepare for the podcast. Typically, bands don't have stories. They have like EPs, albums, singles. So I'm curious to hear more about this story, Sirens, False Love, Part 1, The Dark Paradise, and Part 2, Medusa. Very unique, very cool. Obviously, dig in the tracks because I wouldn't have invited you guys on if you guys weren't awesome. So tell us about this story, and does Jessica Rabbit have anything to do with it?
Well, I wish, but it's not. However, I think she's cool as well. So one day perhaps I can convince Wendy to make a track concerning Roger Rabbit. You never know. But that being said, I leave the entire story up for Wendy to tell because she's the master brain behind all of it.
Wow.
Okay, I'll try to do my best. So the story starts with, or the song starts with The Dark Paradise, and that is that tells the story from the man's perspective. So the guy. He deeply falls in love with a mermaid, the mermaids chanting and luring in men. So they deal with each other. And then one day she just disappears and he thinks that he was tricked and he was played upon. And so, yeah, he's a little bit left behind, sad and depressive because for him, it was the love of his life. And that's a bit where the story is about, him wandering around and on the beach looking for a glimpse of her. And even in his older days, looking back to the sea, wishing that maybe someday she can come back. But yeah, of course she doesn't. And then the second part is Medusa, which tells her story. And well, she actually also fell deeply in love with him, but her daddy, she did not really like it. And so one day he's the king of the sea and he rips his daughter back into the waters and to punish her for what she did, because it's forbidden to fall in love or to have any contact with the human world. She gets put on an island, and everyone that wants to enter the island turns to stone. So that's where we put a little bit a wink to Medusa. So it's a bit of a mismatch of different stories that already exist, and that's something we actually try to do in all our music. We try to take a fairy tale or a Disney story and we try to interpret it our own way. So make it like one of our other songs is Decay of Sleeping Beauty, and we try to tell the story. How would it be if this was really true? How would it be to be 1,000 years locked up in a tower and all alone? And that's what we also did with this story. How would it be if you're the little mermaid and you fall in love with a human being, but it's not meant to be? How would it be? That's how we try to put it into our music.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah, we always try to make it in our own perspective, actually emotional driven, and make it as personal as possible. I think we're quite close to say it that way, because if you take also the Salcedo story, that's concerning domestical violence, and that's also something that a lot of persons and people, women, male, doesn't matter, encountered or were a part of, and more or less try to hide it in the dark corner of their mind. And that's making more or less discussable. Like, okay, we all know it's happening. You might have been a part of it, so there you have that part. So it's all, part of life.
Yeah, we try to link it with real life events. What if you fall in love with a guy and your parents approve? Those are things that can happen in real life, right? So, yeah, but then from the fairy tale perspective.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet comes to mind, that classic story.
True, yeah. That's also a very famous one. But they die at the end, so...
Yeah.
What do ours do?
They... Nothing.
I don't even
we
know.
Don't say. We don't know. We don't say.
They live in agony wondering what could have been.
Yeah.
Which...
That's what we know.
Yeah.
So it's actually a little bit how the world is doing now. We all live in agony and wonder how it would be without Corona.
Exactly. And then you mentioned, living in lockdown for like 1,000 years by yourself. We kind of got an idea of that as well.
Yes, we can feel that now. A bit.
And if you can live for 1,000 years, it's probably, not as long as it seems for us, because we don't live for 1,000 years. So that seems like, whoa, 1,000 years? That's 10 times my projected lifetime, even if I'm lucky.
Yeah, probably. It will be just a wink.
Yeah, if it's that long, if I can stay in this condition, it's okay. But if I age the same way and get gray, bald, and need to crawl on my legs and on my hands, I doubt that's a good perspective.
No.
So if we can freeze it in this momentum, I can live with it. But if you really decay all that time, I don't know if that's the best thing to happen.
Yeah. So I'm looking up mermaid stuff right now on the internet, and all these romanticized depictions of mermaids, and I'm sure they're nice. I was going to say people, but I don't know. I guess they're not people, but it's a strange fascination, I guess, as human beings at a certain time point of like half human, half animal thing that we don't really seem to have a fascination with anymore, I guess, thankfully.
Yeah, it's a forgotten art, right? I mean, I also, when Wendy brought it up, I was also like, really? Mermaids? Isn't that like not that much talked about anymore? But she brought it back to life more or less, because I must say that I follow your point of view. It's like mermaids, huh? Yeah, okay. Once in fairy tales when you were young, then our parents were talking about that and the whistles and the enchantments, and you said, and for which reason Wendy came up with that when we were talking about Dark Paradise. And I was like, I know I was skeptical, that for sure, because I was actually more or less laughing in her face, like, really? It's like, yeah, this is how I feel it, how I see the song. Let's do it this way. And I was like, okay, let's see what it comes out from. And I think we can be quite happy with the result, I think.
Yeah. I was actually, since I was a kid, I have always been fascinated with mermaids. I think in my younger years, it was the Disney movie, the Little Mermaid, and oh my God, I must have seen it 100 times, if not more. Dare I say this on camera?
That's too late, and the guy from the Cosmos will put it out.
Any movie out there that was focused on mermaids, I mean, I had to see it. So I even wanted to be a mermaid when I was a kid. So for me, it was kind of a natural thing to flow into a song about mermaids. Yeah.
Apparently, there's reported sightings.
Is that so? Okay.
I mean,
I'm not a believer, to be clear, but yeah, well, if they're out there.
Yeah. Well, from a reliable resource, Christopher Columbus.
All right.
Yes, very reliable resource. He discovered lots of things in his lifetime, and one of them was apparently off of the coast of Hispaniola. They saw 3 sirens, or in Spanish, sirenas.
All right.
See.
Yeah. I didn't know that sirens were mermaids, but I'm finding out that sirens are another name for mermaids.
Hello.
This is Gabriel. Gabe's the Babes. He prepared for the podcast today, and he did a remarkable job. And he is going to edit today's podcast and do a remarkable job. And he is here to say hello. He's my right hand man.
All right, Gabriel.
Gabriel, nice to
How
meet
you doing, my man? How you doing? He's good because he's laughing. I don't know if he's laughing at you or with you. I leave that in the middle, Wendy.
Yeah, he was asking how you doing.
By the way, Gabriel, how you like Wendy's hair?
It's beautiful. Yeah. It's very sea-like.
Thank you.
Yeah, she is secretly a siren or a mermaid. We're looking at mermaids right now. So, son, do you know what a mermaid is?
Yeah.
So this is a lonely fisherman who is tired of the barrel, and he's fantasizing about this rather bodacious blonde that just happens to live out in the sea that he can't have. And then here's another depiction of a red-headed brunette one, if that's more your speed. I'll take the blonde, I guess. Yeah. This is a unique. So, like centaurs, for example, half man, half horse, was a thing back.
Centaur, yeah.
Yeah, thing back.
Isn't that the bull, by the way? Centaur, isn't that a half man, half bull?
Maybe. I could be getting it wrong. Isn't there one that's half horse? Maybe there's one that's half bull. I should look it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
A centaur is half man, half horse.
Okay. What is the half man, half
Luke
bull?
is referring to a fawn.
Uh-huh.
A fawn is half goat, half man.
Oh, man. Can you imagine that life? Like, you just regenerate and you're like, poof, oh, man, I get to be half goat? Like, I could, oh, come on.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
It would be quite a conversation. It's like, nah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Next thing you know, people are milking you. They're like, come on. Hey,
Yeah.
Gabesy.
Well, that happens.
Are you able to get a tissue and kill
well.
that spider?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Hurry up, it's crawling. There's a giant spider. So as we were transitioning into autumn, a lot of the insects are moving inside down here in the basement. Thank you, kiddo. Good job. Yeah, kill it. Kill it. Get it into the toilet, please, and then wash your hands, okay?
You can feed it to the goats. They eat everything.
Yes, feed it to the goat.
By the way, I wanted to correct myself. I knew it was half man, a half bull, and it was a minotaur.
Minotaur, baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, don't doubt it. I was just not getting the word.
Groovy. So yeah, we talked about Jessica Rabbit, we're talking about mermaids and sirens, and we even snuck Christopher Columbus in there for good measure, because apparently he personally sighted three mermaids.
Yeah.
And then also as well, we snuck a little bit of Medusa in there.
Yeah, I looked at the songs and I watched the videos. Very interesting story.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Makes us very happy.
You know what they say? The truth comes from a child's mouth, right?
Yes.
At least it's how we say it in Dutch. I don't know if in English the translation is correct.
Wow. How do you say it in Dutch?
De waarheid komt uit een kindermond.
Okay. I understood kinder.
So,
I know bad German, so I understood kinder.
Sounds almost like Tinder, but it's likely something else.
Mm-hmm. You don't swipe right on a kinder.
Yeah, when I was listening to the story and preparing, I was like, name. And I just thought of Sirens False Love. So, that's it.
Yeah. Do you have any questions about the story while the band is here?
Can't really think
Please
of
shoot.
anything right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Medusa, we're also looking up Medusa, this woman who has, was it snakes for hair? And you look at her and you turn to stone?
Yes. It's when you look into her eyes, you turn to stone. And the real story, the real, is it Greek? I believe it's Greek. Story of Medusa is actually quite a sad story, because I don't know if you know the real story, but she, Medusa was a disciple of Athena, and she helped in Athena's temple. And one day she falls in love with the man that Athena also is in love with. But Athena, because she's the ruler of her temple, she thinks that she's the most gorgeous woman of Greece, and but then the guy himself, he also fancies Medusa, so she doesn't really like that. And to punish her, she sends some men over to rape Medusa, and then she gets punished for life and turned into this snake-like monster that cannot look to men anymore because they will turn to stone. So it's really, really gruesome and sad story, actually.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say. Trouble in paradise, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Greece could be paradise.
Yeah, it can.
Can be, yeah.
Yeah, those beaches and Moussaka.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I know.
I just ate, but moussaka always goes in.
That's right. That's right, baby.
Definitely.
I mean, interesting enough, Medusa on the Wikipedia page anyway, as you mentioned, there's a psychoanalysis function, like what's going on in this story. There's a feminist perspective of what's going on in the story. And then, you even get the nihilists in there. I thought they didn't care, but you could even get the nihilist perspective in there as well. How do you say that in Dutch? Nihilism?
Nihilist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nihilist, yeah.
Cool. All right. Now, is there anything else that we missed? What's coming up next? Is this part of an album? Is this just a couple of singles?
Well, I think normally that's up for Wendy to say. I'll leave it up to Wendy. I don't know.
Yeah. So currently, our current focus is on singles, but we do that in the future to also do an EP, and then later on a bigger album. But now at the moment, yeah, as said, we're just a starting band, so our strategy is to bring out as many singles as we can to make as much noise as we can on the internet.
Well, we have had one advantage, more or less. We had the Corona, still pandemic going on, and we decided to take that in the positive side of it, namely going via Discord and other communication channels to stay productive and still write music. So Wesley, our drummer, shared his screen with Reaper, so we could all have our ideas to bring forward and to keep on writing music. And that brought a lot of ideas coming up. And now even, because we, as you know, we finished Medusa, that's recorded and everything. But there are at least 3 new songs coming up. Not right away, but we're working on them. Wendy, can we already tease with the title, or preferably not yet?
I don't think it's written in stone yet. The title.
No, that's why I asked if we can tease already a name. But like I said, it's 3 songs that we're working on, and it's clearly work because Wendy is pushing her limits vocal wise. I mean, she's literally like, she knows what she can do with her voice. I'm providing you compliments here, Wendy, so don't worry. And each time when we think, okay, we that's how far the envelope can be pushed, she's like, no, I can't do this. And literally a couple of months, because it takes a while, because as a guitar player, you take your guitar, you play your riff, it's done. That's the laziness of a guitar player. And in her case, it takes a couple of weeks, months, I don't know. And suddenly there's this amazing voice part that she plays on the written music.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. And yeah, that's the way we process our music at this point. I mean, till a couple of weeks ago, because we can finally do rehearsals again. So that also speeds up process and also makes discussions more easily.
I do like to give a little bit of more information, and that is there's one song on the way that has to do something. It's also a Disney-based story a bit, and it's about a cold place. So that gives a little bit of a hint, I think.
Oh, Frozen?
Oh, you guessed it. Yeah, so we're...
It's like...
yeah, so we're doing something around that story. And then there's 2 other, but they're still in a very rough phase at the moment. And one is more, I think it's a Grimm story. I don't know for sure. It's not a Disney story in any way. And then we have another one. That doesn't really have a finished storyline yet. And even there is cover on its way, so we are remaking a very famous song of a very famous metal band. Cool project to make it our own.
Beautiful. Okay,
it's a challenge, I can assure you.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna have to wrap things up. So we're chatting about some awesome news here. We got some great things coming down the pipeline. Those of you who are listening in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, you're watching on YouTube, you can see how incredibly good looking we all are. You're on today's website, therockmetalpodcast.ca. There are going to be show notes down below. You can check out octoberchanges.com to keep up with the changes. And as this airs in October, it's fantastic. You can keep up with those changes in October. October changes.
All right.
We chatted about hopefully some songs coming up from Jessica Rabbit, Mermaids Tricking Men, Medusa's Unfortunate Story, The Dark Paradise, and Medusa as tracks are also available to click on so you can see the videos for those in today's show notes. Guys, that concludes my questions. Thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today.
All right. It was a real pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having us.